What's up, YouTube? This is Barnon11970, and thank you for watching this video. Let's get into it today. As we could see, as we got information, the whole EBT problem was nothing more than a glitch that happened in approximately 17 states. And as from what I'm understanding, it's already back in some areas. I don't know if it's completely all over the place, but it's back. Now, from what I saw from people's other videos, it's disturbing. And I know some people are going to say this is hypocritical coming from me, but I'm going to explain. I'm not like those people. But I saw truthful information partially in some of the videos where they did state that it was only 17 places in the country, but their titles were misleading. When you say things like nationwide, that makes people assume that it means everywhere. And some people made videos saying, you know, this is the end times, this is it, this is going to be the start of World War III, this is the government shutdown causing this. And I cannot stress enough to the people out there to think about things before you react. I've always said that. I've said that so many times. Don't use emotion to determine what's going on. And this can also show that I am not one of those people that just says every single thing is a conspiracy theory. Because if you notice, the man that brought the shotgun into that military area, I said nothing about that. This event, I showed that it was not some doom and gloom situation. The past couple of false flag events that people have said, I have not even talked about. You know, the woman in the car that got shot and killed. Yes, that's a major tragedy, and that is definitely the utmost extreme of obsessive use of force by the police. But I don't think that was some government conspiracy. So for all the people out there who love to just say people like myself are conspiracy theorists who blame everything on government, no. I don't believe 9/11 happened the way the government said. I don't believe John F. Kennedy's assassination was the way it was said by the government. I don't believe that the plant that exploded in Texas was done the way they said. But there are articles that show to the contrary. There are a lot of questions. But what we have to do is start thinking. And the good thing about me doing this since 2011 is I've gained a lot of experience. And I was one of those people back in the beginning where every single thing somebody talked about, whether it was aliens or some religious end-of-the-world prophecy, all these different things, I would believe everything. Because when you don't know what's going on at first and you're bombarded with stuff, it tends to be overwhelming. So I can understand how people, for some reason, have this need. But you have to understand, when you live your life in fear, if you know anything, and this is one of the reasons why I took a break from YouTube for a while, as far as making videos. I was doing a lot of researching about science, about physics, quantum mechanics, and whether people understand it or not, thoughts eventually turn into physical reality. Because everything that we've ever created in life starts out as nothing more than a thought, an image in our head. And eventually, that thought becomes physical reality. And emotion can also affect physical reality. I'll give you a prime example. You ever notice when you're really stressed out, a lot of bad things are happening, you're in a constant bad or depressed mood, you can't handle the situation anymore due to whatever's happening, whether it's a major job loss or a love loss or something to that extent. You ever notice right after that, people tend to get sick? Well, it's because of the fact, physically, when you are emotionally that distressed, you are actually having, instead of your body focusing on creating of white blood cells, which is your defense system, your body releases a lot of extra hormones to deal with the anxiety. So you're actually, because of your emotional state of mind, you affect your body's ability to focus on its defense system. So you physically lower your defense system, which means you're more susceptible to the constant bombardment of bacteria, viruses, whatever's in the air. So we have to understand, the people up at the top, the real controllers, and I'm not talking about presidents, I'm not even talking about kings, I'm talking about the people. He who owns the gold makes the rules, thus hereby the golden rule. They know that if they can sway people in a certain way and create mass panic or mass fear, it can manifest itself physically. That is not voodoo, that is not superstition, that is not paranoia, that is scientific fact. And if you think that's crazy, what that says to me is you are basing it on emotion and you have not researched. And I highly recommend you research mind over matter, you research science, you research quantum mechanics and quantum physics, because it will teach you that, and me also being a licensed massage therapist since 1996, I've seen thousands of times how an emotional state can control your physical state. So they want you to be in fear. They want you to be angry, because then you don't stop and reason. You just react. And that is why things like misleading people in this community, because there's not a lot of us that try and speak the truth. Now, when I say speak the truth, that doesn't mean we are 100% honest every single moment. We're, George Washington admitting he chopped down the cherry tree kind of people. No. We all make mistakes. We're all humans. We don't always get things right. But what we try and do is not intentionally try and hurt people. There are some people that get off on hurting other people. Those people, I've learned, you don't waste your time with them, because, I spent so much of my time trying to convince others that I'm not the way they say they are, and it doesn't matter what you say. They formulate an opinion. Let them live their lives. Who cares? To each their own. But if we continue in this small little community to mislead people, we are sending false information, inaccurate information, and information that could scare somebody to death. Let's put it in perspective. Back in the 1930s, when Orson Welles made that radio program about the War of the Worlds, in the beginning of that radio program, he talked and said that this is just going to be a radio program. It's not real. But that was the only time he said it. After that, the whole the radio program was all about aliens attacking the Earth. There were people who committed suicide because they didn't hear the beginning of that radio program, so they thought this was a real situation. Now, that's the same. Some people may think that's crazy, but just imagine if you turned on the TV, and only in the beginning of the news program they said, well, we're going to stage a nuclear attack. We're going to pretend. We're going to make up a story. This is not real. It's fake. But we're going to do a program about what if a nuclear attack happened. But they only mention it in the beginning of the program. Just imagine you come home from work, turn on the TV, and you hear on all the news stations, or whatever news station that you turn on, that there's a nuclear war going on. You're going to believe it. And people will react. So my thing is, people, do not live in fear. Think about things. Because, first of all, this EBT thing, even before I knew it was a glitch, I knew there was no way the government would allow a shutdown of that magnitude when it comes to food. Because that's how wars start. That's how riots start. The whole French Revolution started because of the fact that the French nobility was so conceited that they took all the food away from the people. And when you take away their last chance at survival, they will go into a rage. Because if you're going to die of starvation, let me tell you something. Dying of starvation is the most horrible way to die. Because basically your body eats itself alive. So I'll tell you something. If somebody had the choice of, running after a government official or a corrupt policeman or a corrupt military person and getting shot and killed, or taking weeks of slowly dying by starving to death, I guarantee you they'll choose the revolution in a heartbeat, even if they didn't want to in the beginning. And if you're talking about taking away food from 40+ million people, And you think the government is that stupid to take their base, that is the reason why most of them are in office and still in office, and just rip that rug from underneath them and think that they can control that? To me, it's just a ridiculous thing. But if people want to live in fear, that's fine. I don't live in fear. Now, that doesn't mean I can't question authority or what they talk about. Because if you just accept everything at face value, then you are easily influenceable. So as much as people want to say, like myself, for example, that I'm this conspiracy theorist that believes everything's a conspiracy, well, this shows the last couple of events that to be an inaccurate statement. Do I question things? Yes. Do I say I know 100% truthful that it's either way? No. We need to question things, but we also need to stop and think. And when you write a misleading title just to get people to view your channel and just to get out information, then you are stooping to the level of the mainstream media, and you must reconsider it. And that's why I'll never do it. You'll never see a headline on my channel that says, "End of the world coming. Watch this video." Excuse me. So I'm going to end this video before it stops, but I want people to really stop and think about this stuff. We need to really start working together and change the way we think. Stop living in fear. I'm not worried. And even really quick, there are people talking about this supposed flood that's supposed to flood New York. Let me tell you something. I live in New York. I live on Long Island. I am not worried one bit. It's not going to happen. If you want to live in fear and manifest something from your fears, that's your own thing. I choose not to live in fear. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.